Welcome back to Flute Tip of the Week on a spinny chair. Finally back home in Ottawa, but this is going to be my last video from Ottawa for a while because I am heading to London tonight. It'll be so great to get back to my apartment and to be at home again. That's what happens when you've been living somewhere for nearly 8 years. Apologies if at some point you hear drills going. We have stuff going on our roof. So I promise no one is coming in to steal my flute or anything like that. So yeah, I'm very excited to get back to London and get back to a normal life with a normal schedule. But first, we have to have our next video. Last week we talked about a high-pitched instrument. Now let's talk about the high register on the flute. So let's get into it. If you're finding yourself making mistakes in the high register, it could be a problem with one of these three things: consistency of the air, lightness of your fingers, and also you might be rolling in too much. While there are always more things that could happen at any point in the flute, I find that in the high register, these are normally the three frequent culprits. First of all, let's talk about the consistency of the air. We associate the high register with overblowing, high pitch, and really just difficulty in maintaining a comfortable sound that is not piercing to the ears. Very similar to my taffy puller idea from a few videos ago, you always need to make sure, really in any part of the flute, that you have a steady and constant stream of air and that is well supported. However, in the high register, this is even more important. Similar to how small changes will radically change the sound on your piccolo, in the high register on the flute, it is very much the same kind of situation. Next, lightness of fingers. As I was talking about with the air and how small changes will affect the high register, the same thing goes for your fingers. Just for instance, if you are able to hear yourself hitting the keys on the flute, this kind of action with your fingers will very often translate to changing pressure against your lip. It could even change how you're moving your jaw, but really this will affect the air more than just focusing on consistency and support. If I'm trying to hold a note, having that pressure going in is going to really change every single time that it happens during a held note. You can have the same kind of effect if you're hitting your fingers on the flute when you're playing sustained notes, and especially it'll make it difficult if you're playing really fast passages, especially in the high register. Finally, rolling in. We often associate the high register with difficulty, stress, but mostly we think about having too sharp a pitch. How do we normally counter this? We immediately think about rolling in the flute. It is something that we start off doing when we're kids. It is one of the first habits we have to break, but this can still creep into your playing once in a while, and it is even more a possibility and a problem in the high register. And not only does it change the pitch, and not usually for the better, but it also changes the quality of the sound. All of a sudden, you're squashing the harmonics that are allowed to play around that note. So instead of having the lower partials along with the sound for, say, your high A, all you're gonna get is that top sound and what I call the laser beam sound. It's essentially where you have the one pitch in it, the one color, and it does not sound whole. This is where you really need to realize that you're covering too much. Though it might seem very uncomfortable, try practicing high passages very rolled out sometimes. What this will do is it'll give you an idea of the opposite side of the spectrum, from having the sound too rolled in and only one color to having it too rolled out and have no true clarity. And as you're slowly rolling it out, you may find that your sound gradually starts to find its center. This will be an indication that you've been playing it too rolled in. So again, that tip was if you find yourself making mistakes in the high register, it could be a problem with one of three things: consistency of air, lightness of fingers, and being too rolled in. I hope you found this week's tip helpful. Can't believe this is number 21 already. It's just like yesterday that I was recording this on my computer and making even worse jokes than I still do. I thought I would ring in my last video in Canada for the next while with yet another one of my mother's fantastic quotes. I'll see you in London town, flute happy, high register happy. This is the park outside my house. Over there, you can see where there used to be a giant, gorgeous tree. Feels really weird that it's not there anymore. But sadly, all things in life must change.